We go to the Maryland man.
Who?
A family man and all-around good citizen was mistakenly deported to El Salvador because of Orange Man bad.
You're kidding.
What? No?
Hold up.
Oh. It turns out he's been here illegally for 10 years.
What?
A member of the MS-13 gang, which has a history of rape, murder, and violence.
Son of a bitch. Fuck.
Ties to West Coast gangs.
What?
And Trump don't give a...
It is what it is.
I'm Jasper Gonzo on this. Can you hear that? It's all the crying. But it's what's next. What's up, everyone? Jasper Gonzo, what's next? Your daily dose, common sense, facts, and salt. Hope you guys are feeling good today on this Thursday. Let's talk about the Maryland man, shall we? Now, for those who don't know, the Maryland man, his name is Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Turns out that he was a family man, a pillar of the community, a all-around good Joe, who got mistakenly caught up in, Orange Man bad, his illegal roundups, and got sent to El Salvador mistakenly. And so they're trying to get him out. Well, it turns out that he's not so good of a Joe after all. He's been here illegally for 10 years. He is a member of the MS-13 gang, the wonderful group of people, who commit murder, rape, and all-around violence, and has ties to West Coast gangs. But the media pushes that one narrative that this is all wrong. This is made up. This is fake news. No, it's not. And here we go. This comes out of New York Post. Alleged MS-13 gangbanger Kilmar Abrego Garcia's rank street name revealed as fight over deportation to El Salvador mega prison rages. And of course, let's hear a little bit from the president of El Salvador and President Donald Trump.
Do you plan to ask President Bukele to help return the man who your administration says was mistakenly deported? The man who was mistakenly deported to El Salvador?
Well, let me ask Pam, would you answer that question?
Sure, President. First and foremost, he was illegally in our country. He had been illegally in our country. And in 2019, two courts, an immigration court and an appellate immigration court, ruled that he was a member of MS-13 and he was illegally in our country.
Oh my.
Right now, it was additional paperwork had needed to be done. That's up to El Salvador if they want to return him. That's not up to us. The Supreme Court ruled, President, that if, as El Salvador wants to return him, this is international matters, foreign affairs, if they wanted to return him, we would facilitate it, meaning provide a plane.
So will you return him?
And you are doing a great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wait a minute. Could you just also
I don't know if
respond to
Bondi's
that
doing
question?
that great of a job,
CNN and
Epstein
they always
files
answer
anyone?
with a slant, because they're totally slanted because they don't know what's happening. That's why nobody's watching them. But would you answer that question also, please?
Yes, gladly. So, as Pam mentioned,
And here comes the stud,
illegal
Stephen
alien
Miller.
from El Salvador. So, with respect to you, he's a citizen of El Salvador. So, it's very arrogant even for American media to suggest that we would even tell El Salvador how to handle their own citizens as a starting point.
Dude, how about you get your camera out of the
Two
way?
immigration courts found that he was a member of MS-13. When President Trump declared MS-13 to be a foreign terrorist organization, that meant that he was no longer eligible under federal law, which I'm sure you know, you're very familiar with the INA, that he was no longer eligible for any form of immigration relief in the United States. So he had a deportation order that was valid, which meant that under our law, he's not even allowed to be present in the United States and had to be returned because of the foreign terrorist designation. This issue was then, by a district court judge, completely inverted, and a district court judge tried to tell the administration that they had to kidnap a citizen of El Salvador and fly him back here. That issue was raised to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said the district court order was unlawful and its main components were reversed 9-0 unanimously, stating clearly that neither Secretary of State nor the President could be compelled by anybody to forcibly retrieve a citizen of El Salvador from El Salvador, who again is a member of MS-13, which, as I'm sure you understand, rapes little girls, murders women, murders children, is engaged in the most barbaric activities in the world, and I can promise you if he was your neighbor, you would move right away.
So you don't plan to ask for any help to get him back?
And what was the ruling in the Supreme Court, Steve? Was it 9-0?
Yes, it was a 9-0
In our favor.
in our favor against the district court ruling, saying that no district court has the power to compel the foreign
I like how
policy
Trump
function of
goes,
the
I'm
United
sorry,
States.
Stephen, would you
It's
mind repeating
plain
that?
The ruling
9-0?
solely stated
Okay.
that if this individual, at El Salvador's sole discretion, was sent back to our country, that we could deport him a second time.
Well,
No version of this legally ends up with him ever living here because he is a citizen of El Salvador. That is the president of El Salvador. Your questions about it, per the court, can only be directed to him.
Damn, Miller's a stud. Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the alleged MS-13 gang member who's wrongly deported, quote unquote, to El Salvador's notorious mega prison last month, held the rank of Checo and a street name Chele with a vicious criminal organization, released documents revealed. U.S. Attorney Pam Bondi shared additional evidence on Wednesday to support President Trump's claim that Abrego Garcia is a member of the violent international gang after cops found him socializing with confirmed MS-13 gangbangers at a Maryland Home Depot parking lot in March of 2019. Following that March 28th incident in Hyattsville, a past proven and reliable source told Hyattsville City Police Department detective that Abrego Garcia is an active member of the MS-13 gang, that was a wonderful gang in West Coast cliques, according to the gang field interview sheet shared on X. And of course, that is Abrego Garcia. The confidential source further advised that Abrego Garcia carried the rank of Checo or Monaco Chele, the report states. Officers also noted that legal migrants' clothing, a Chicago Bulls hat and hoodie with rolls of money, covered his eyes and ears and mouth of the presidents of different denominations. That is indicative of the Hispanic gang culture. And of course, that is the official report leaked from Prince George County Police Department gang field interview. The meaning of the clothing is to represent ver or ver or igalar, see no evil, hear no evil, say no evil, the report states. The Bulls hat Abrego Garcia was wearing also has less to do with the actual sports team and more about international happenings within the Latin gang, cops claimed on the report. Wearing the Chicago Bulls hat represents that they are a member in good standing with MS-13. Abrego Garcia, who has been living at Old Line State, was shipped off with 260 other reputed gang members to El Salvador's hellhole lockup, CICOT, last month under 18th Century Alien Enemies Act. The feds have also claimed that that he's a part of the notorious MS-13 gang and was illegally here in the country despite never having been charged with a crime and repeatedly denying gang accusations. Several court orders, including one from the Supreme Court, have called the federal government to return the Salvadoran migrant. But Trump says, no, I've got the facts, I've got the receipts, and I just don't give a fuck. My thoughts. Well, the fact of the matter is that when you have an official document, official reports from Prince George County's police department stating that this is who he is, here are the ties, here are his gang names, here's what the Chicago Bulls hat represents, here's that we found money, covered up the president's faces, to represent, and in good standing with that lawful MS-13 gang. Why is the media on this rant about this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong? How dare you put an innocent man when you have two Democratic senators who flew out to El Salvador to speak with the vice president of El Salvador, and the El Salvadoran vice president basically just said, you know what, get out of my face, and slammed the door right in their face. Said, you know what, I'm not talking to you guys are clowns. So I have no problem with them going over there, and if they want to stay over there, that's fine. That's fine. We're allowed to share our people too. But at the end of the day, this guy was bad news. He kept his mouth shut for 10 years. I'm not doing anything bad. I'm just, working here and, doing my thing and whatever. And then you get caught at a Home Depot hanging out with gangbangers. But he's a good guy. Jeez. Oh, before I end this video, I'm just going to jump to this real quick because I think it's necessary. This is regarding the media. Okay. This comes from Outkick. The legacy media won't mention Rachel Morin's case, but spent segment after segment on Abrego Garcia. Now, of course, for those of you who don't know, who Rachel Moran is. Two Maryland stories involving illegal immigration made national news this week. On Monday, a Maryland jury found Salvadorian illegal immigrant Victor Antonio Martinez Hernandez guilty of rape and murder of Rachel Moran, a 37-year-old mother of 5 from Bel Air, Maryland. The other story involves Kilmar Abrego Garcia, an illegal immigrant who's a U.S. district judge, ruled that Trump administration deported illegally to El Salvador. However, viewers of legacy media are likely only aware of the second story. According to Newsbusters study, 3 broadcast networks have spent zero seconds covering the Moran case. Meanwhile, over the past 2 weeks, they have spent more than 64 minutes covering Garcia, whom they largely refer to as, quote-unquote, the Maryland man. Disgusting, Donald Trump Jr. called the disparity in coverage. Just gotta love that balance. Just gotta love that balance. So instead of the media doing what they're supposed to be doing and reporting the news across the board, no, they pick one narrative, they stick to it. Why? Because they're desperate. They're desperate for a win. Trump's been whipping their ass since he won the election. And they're trying to hang their hat on this. Well, guess what? If this is another hill that you want to die on, just like, the transgender last year cost you the presidency, well, you are more than welcome to die on that hill. Now, with that being said, I'm Jasper Gonzo. This is What's Next. Want to see more like this? Please leave a comment below. Like it, share, subscribe to it. Hit that notification bell so you guys never miss a thing. Continue spreading the word about the show. Appreciate you guys watching as always, and we'll see you next time. Peace.